Hi everyone, I'm Paige Strand, and today we're going to talk about online networking and how to do it right. How to do it right. Well times. So I just wanted to start by saying as well, like online networking, it's very much one of those things where some of us have been doing it for a long time. Some of us are very new to it, and it's ever evolving. So I know we're all in different groups in this and in terms of where we feel comfortable, but at the end when we have questions, if anyone wants to share a scenario that they're working through or anything like that, welcome to deal with that. All right, so hi everyone, I'm Paige Strand. I run Strand and Strategy Communications, and I have over a decade of experience across corporate communications, change management, and strategy. I'm also a mentor in a lot of different mentoring programs, and the top topic always ends up being online networking, like 8 out of 10 times. It's how to make it less weird, how to make it more fun, how to make it less yucky. You get it. So that on top of the fact that my day-to-day and my work is talking to people all the time, whether it's clients, partners, pizza guys, community leaders, anybody who doesn't run away from a LinkedIn message is someone that I'm usually working with. So you can see where we've kind of come through our journey of online networking and why I'm speaking about this today. I also just want to quickly land acknowledgement. I acknowledge that I live and work on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Kakite, Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation. As I kind of alluded to a little bit at the beginning, networking's changing. So whether you're at the beginning of your career and you're just new to networking in general, or you've been networking for ages, but you're seeing a big shift, particularly since the pandemic has changed a lot of how we network. We might all be in different places in terms of how we feel about it. I know if you would have asked me 15 years ago, I would have told you that networking was going to the convention center, getting sweaty, and handing out business cards as fast as possible. So sure, that's part of my life today, but most of it now has been online. So it kind of emphasizes how powerful this really is, especially when we consider that in Canada, 1 in 4 jobs are currently filled by referral. It really comes down to who we know, who our friends are we getting out there, are we making friends? So before we jump in, there we go. This talk, so just to kind of zoom out for a second so you know where we're going to go tonight, we're going to talk about authenticity. So we're going to talk about how to be ourselves online. It can be really tricky. Like when we're networking in person, we can kind of see how everybody's doing it and kind of learn from that. But everything's behind the scenes when we're online. So we don't often get that opportunity to see how other people are kind of doing it. So we're going to talk about authenticity. We're going to address the elephant in the room, which is the discomfort, and we all might feel differently about that. We're also going to talk through some scenarios tonight, and some of that includes examples of my own networking, some of which has gone really well and some of which has not gone so great, but I made it and I'm here. So that's what we have in store for tonight. So I just quickly want to lay things out with a quick story. So Kate was a senior VP based out of Toronto. A couple years ago, I saw her giving a talk online and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be her. I want to be her friend. I want to know her. And I remember thinking, I want to message her. I want to message her. And so I went home. I was very excited. And I thought, why would she reply to me? Like she's got 100 people in her inbox. Why would she reply to me? And I remember thinking like, how am I going to stand out? How am I going to impress her? And eventually after hours of deliberation, I thought, okay, I'm just going to send the message. It's short, it's sweet, it's kind. We're going to send it. And what surprised me the most about this scenario was Kate not only replied, she replied within an hour, and she actually already knew who I was. She had seen me participate at another event as a panelist, and she'd been meaning to reach out and just didn't have the time. So fast forward a few years later, Kate and I are actually still in touch. And whenever she flies to Vancouver, we end up grabbing lunch and kind of picking each other's brains on each other's projects. And it really just goes to show the importance of being able to shoot your shot and you never know who's already watching your work. Why does online networking feel so cringe? As I've mentioned, there's a lot of different feelings that we can have about this. And my goal with this exercise is we are going to walk through the different core fears or different feelings we might be having about it the reframes we can take and the actions that we can use to apply to kind of walk ourselves through this and override this function. It sounded so product-y. So the first one was, I don't want to sound fake or salesy. And it might come from that fear of insincerity or being a little too self-promotional. I know I've definitely worried about this before, especially on LinkedIn, when it's like, I want to ask someone how they did something, but I'm also like, is this going to come across weird? Are they going to think I have a weird motive? I don't know what to do. And so a possible reframe that I used for myself that might work for you is just that remembering people can sense our authenticity. If we're really being ourselves, we're really using words that we would use in a day-to-day, people can sense that. And if the goal is truly long-term relationships, people will find out with time what was real and what wasn't. So it's good just from the get-go to be ourselves as much as we can. The action that I took to kind of help build this reframe was to define my why. So for example, when I look at my message and I think, okay, is my why clear enough in this? Is there kindness in this? Is there curiosity in this? How can I make this as clear as possible for someone to read? So that was kind of what took me out of this area and helped me to feel a lot more confident when it came to my online networking. Next one, if for any of you that relate to this, what do I even say? Like, this is just awkward and I don't like it. The core fear here is potentially one of rejection. So the feeling that, okay, if we reach out and they don't reply, how is that going to make me feel? Or what if they say something mean? Who knows? So a potential reframe for this is to really just acknowledge we're starting a conversation. It's okay to feel weird. Like, as long as we're being nice or being short and sweet, it's probably going to go all right. So just remembering that when we're feeling that sense of, I don't want to get rejected, this is weird. The action is also potentially to ask thoughtful questions. So a great way to do it is like if you see someone post about AI and then you are wondering about it as well, or maybe you know something about that and you reach out to them and say, hey, I really liked your post about this. And now I want to add to this. And now it becomes a two-way conversation in terms of something that they've brought to the table. So it can kind of help ease that awkwardness and make things feel a little bit smoother. Oh, it worked. So another one to consider as well is that feeling of embarrassment. Like, I don't want to be doing this. I'd rather be doing literally anything else. The core fear here was my self-doubt was right all along. So when I was younger in my career, this was definitely something that I had in my head where I was like, oh my gosh, what if they find out that I don't have as much, like it can go in so many different directions. I was scared that I would be found out that maybe I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. A reframe for this is to look at it from the sense of, I can feel this without letting it steer my story. And a lot of this reframe can apply to the other styles as well. It's just that feeling of, just because we're feeling something doesn't necessarily mean that's our whole world and reality. It's just how we're feeling right now. So the action that would support this is just send the kind message anyway. So in moments when I've been like, ooh, I don't know, I don't want to, when in doubt, send it. Because you never know where you're going to end up from this. You never know who you're going to end up meeting. And there's definitely some messages I've sent in previous years that I'm like, wow, like I would have never known this person had I not done that. So another one to kind of think about here is I overthink every word and I don't hit send. So I have a friend who actually relates to this one very much. The way she described the fear was first impressions feel make or break. So if she was feeling 10 out of 10 on fire, everything's great, she'll send the messages. If she's feeling like a 7 out of 10, she won't send it because she's nervous that she's going to come across a little different than how she would want to be perceived. The thing about this, though, is it's rooted in perfection. And if we can kind of reframe that thought when we're having it as to progress over perfection, if you send a message that's an 8 out of 10, instead of waiting for the 10 out of 10 message, it's still a great message, and you've probably still made an impact, and you've still got an outcome. So an action that my friend took that we did for a couple years was she would send me a draft of her email and I would approve it. So I would look at it. She'd be like, does this sound insane? And I would be like, no, Jessica, it doesn't. Like, it sounds completely fine. And we did that back and forth until eventually Jessica became really comfortable sending the messages. Another one that might apply to some of you in the room is, why would they want to hear from me? So this was kind of how I felt with Kate, where I was like, I don't think so. Like, I don't really know how she's going to react to this. And I don't know how to differentiate myself to 100 people in her inbox. The core fear, oh my goodness, is I won't measure up. And that would feel really crappy to learn, that maybe I won't measure up and I won't get a response. The reframe for this, though, is my message might make their day. And it actually did make her day. And we became great friends, and we've had a long-term relationship on opposite sides of the country through all of this. So in terms of the action, it's shifting our focus away from outcome and towards outreach. So another way to kind of think that through is, like, rather than being like, how many of our messages won? How many of our messages got that job? How many interviews did we get out of this? It's like, how many did we send? Like, that's actually pretty impressive. Like, if I send, 100 messages and I get 10 really good quality responses back, that's still a win. So it's just kind of reframing and taking actions that support that. So how to prepare to reach out. So now we've kind of walked through a little bit of different mindsets we might be in, or different ways that we're kind of walking ourselves back from different mentalities that may have held us back previously. Now we're looking at actually going to send a message. And I will say, like, when I've talked to my mentees through this, a lot of them are like, you just do it. Like, you just send the message and you do it and you do it and it's out. And it's like, okay, slow down. Like, we don't have to go that fast. This is not the highway. So one thing I would recommend is, before you, like, if you have someone that you are really looking to reach out to, do a little bit of research beforehand. So one thing that is actually more into us than research, but figuring out our goals of what we actually want to accomplish with this message. So are we seeking a mentor? Are we seeking a new client? Are we looking for a new job? Are we looking to partner with somebody on an event going forward? I've gotten a lot of messages in my inbox where I'm like, this is great. I love people, but I have no idea what this person wants from me. And so if we establish this right out the gate, we're also more likely to get a response coming back from the person that we're wanting to reach out to. Same goes for potential connections as well. So anything like having worked at the same company a couple of years previous, or having been part of certain organizations, that can also be a really helpful thing when it comes to building the actual outreach message. To kind of add to that, finding common ground. So Google them, not in a way of like, we know where you live, but in the sense of like, find out where they went to school. Did they go to the same university? Did they do hobbies that align with your hobbies? You both play softball? That's great. Align on that. One that I've seen quite a bit with LinkedIn is when I notice somebody's posting about a certain challenge, if I know something about that challenge, I hop right on that. And part of it is not like, it's not a tactic. It's just, I want to help. And there's times where I want to learn too. So when somebody's, opening the door to learn something and I have that knowledge, I'd love to share it. So that's often a way that I've been able to build long-term relationships there. Mutual contacts are also a big one. So again, 1 in 4, the referrals are 1 in 4. So anytime you can find somebody on LinkedIn that you have that common contact, asking that person to introduce you is always a big win. I've actually, for the years that I've had my company, almost all of my clients until last month have been by referral. So I've just started getting into outreach and pitching. So I think it really just goes to show that anytime we can find somebody that maybe we used to work with at a previous company and they know David and we want to get in touch with David, that's how that begins, and often how it can be very successful. Another way, and this kind of flows into that thought process we just walked through of like, what can I give to this person? Like if I'm in a situation where, it's either a very different level of expertise or one person's more experienced than the other, the way that I like to recommend is share something helpful. Like we all have something that we can bring to the table in some way. So when I say like share something helpful, like resources, an example I could give that I did a couple weeks ago was somebody who's trying to learn about governance and boards and different focuses in that regard. And I had just been listening to a podcast episode that was talking about board governance. So I sent it to them and I said, hey, I saw your post, thought you might want to listen to this. And that kind of started the dialogue in a really natural way. Feedback is also a really helpful way to do it. So one example I can give you there is I follow a lot of email newsletters. And so for one of them that I was reading, it had a bunch of typos and like formatting errors. And so I screenshotted, sent it over and just said, hey, heads up, I noticed this. Like I'd want to know if it was mine. So here you go. And we ended up actually building a partnership out of that. So it was just me trying to help, me noticing something, but that opened the door to that conversation. Kind of to how we've now referenced a few times, contacts. So if someone's looking for a graphic designer, a graphic designer, get them in there. If you are able to be a referral for someone, that's also a really big deal. And you're helping someone get to where they need to go and establishing your network even further. So just a reminder, everybody brings something, whether it's 2 years of experience, 20 years of experience, everybody brings a unique perspective. And I think that's something that I often remind my mentees when we're talking about this. Authenticity. So sharing your personality, I know that sounds so like, share your personality, but I really do mean it. I think especially when we're in professional settings, there's this desire to mask or this desire to, put the personal stuff over here and it's only professional from here on in. One thing I like to do with my clients is I'm very open with my hobbies, my interests, my obligations, my family life. I know all of the names of the kids of my clients. I have met most of them. So being able to kind of share these parts of our personality in our life really helps to deepen that sense of long-term relationship. I think too, staying away from buzzwords is also a big one. And this is one that I needed to hear probably 10 years ago. I learned all these corporate acronyms and jargon, and I was so eager to use them. And we will talk more about that in a little bit. Another one here is don't try to mimic other people. So it's one thing to channel the inner Beyonce, and it's entirely another to take on this entire facade that isn't you. So I've definitely seen this before with some of my friends who were really trying to, we're just going to invent this character, but the longer you stay at a company or the longer you deepen a relationship, that eventually comes down. So just really reinforcing that authenticity and that we're really trying to be ourselves in every way that we can. Mm-hmm. All right, networking outreach script. So before we dive in, this is like the basics, like bare basics. This is something where we're taking out any kind of complexities, and this is just like something that I use on an ongoing basis that works quite well for me. You're welcome to customize it wherever you'd like as well. So I'm just going to start this out, and I'm going to play this the way I would have written this. So I might say, hi, Brenda. I saw your recent post about the Disney World project that's coming out in Vancouver, and I found it really insightful and engaging. I'm Paige. I'm currently working at Strand, I currently run Strand and Strategy Communications. I'd love to connect and just kind of hear what you're hearing about this, get a little bit more information on this project. I've heard that it's super interesting and it's going to bring a lot of tourism focus to Vancouver. Love to hear your thoughts on this. This is intended to be as simple as possible. You can insert whatever you'd like in it. And it's something that I just find engaging, short, to the point, and also having that ask and intention is really important. So I'd love to connect and get your thoughts. What does that look like for next week for you? Or do you have space in the coming weeks? We can talk about this. To allude back to an earlier slide, it's that curiosity. Like, I've seen something that they've done, I'm following up on it, I'm asking about it, and I'm also potentially going to help through it. And if I can't help, I'm going to get one of my friends to help. And 1 in 4 referral, boom. In this hypothetical, this person's on LinkedIn, they don't post or say anything, but they've got information up there. That's kind of what I would use. Like, one that I've used often is I graduated from SFU, and if I see that someone has also gone to SFU, I will often ask them about their experience and how that felt. Exactly. So I think it's a bit of that, but I will also, if I'm like, they didn't put anything at all, I will often just Google until I can find something. So sometimes it's that, but if I were to rework this around, I don't know anything about this person at all, I would say, because usually I have something where I'm like, I saw this, or this was brought to my attention and that's why I'm here. If we didn't have that in this scenario, I might say, actually, I have done this before. So I would probably say something to the effect of, hey, I see that you run this company. I really appreciate how your company does X and Y. I really admire that, and I really like working with clients that have that. I'm Paige. I run Strand and Strategy Communications. I'd love to connect and get to know what your needs might be. If you have any storytelling, communications projects coming up that I could help you with, would love to hear your thoughts on how things are going. So that's kind of how I would reinvent that if I don't know them. And that's actually been something that I have done that has worked. So I think it's, even when we're given little morsels of information, we can still use it in a way that's thoughtful, engaging, short and sweet. All right, examples of outreach that worked for me. And then there's a bonus at the end of one that did not work for me. And it's embarrassing, but I've made it, I've survived. So outreach that has worked for me. So this would go to Joy, Coffee Soon. Hi, Joy. Thanks for inviting me to connect with you. I was really struck by your credentials, and I feel like we have quite a bit in common. Do you have space for a virtual coffee in the coming weeks? Chat soon. Paige. I send this often, or a variation of this, however I'm feeling. I send this kind of message often, and I often see results from it. Like, this is one that I think it's just, like, it's not coming on too strong. It's very clear in what we're after. This one often works for me. I would say, like, if I were to quantify it, I'd say like 8 out of 10 times this works. Also, shout out to Holly for all of the domain names. Like, this is all her genius. So yeah. You gotta love it. Yeah. So subject, let's collaborate. Hi, Jane. I've been following along with your company's journey for the last while through your email newsletter, and I keep finding myself in awe and wanting to participate. Between the emphasis on purpose-driven organizations and strong female leadership, I see a lot of alignment. So these are the things that I really like about the company. This is the fact that I have been a newsletter reader of theirs for a long time. And I wouldn't just say that. Like, I genuinely follow their newsletter. I've been following their company. I like what they're doing, and now I'm reaching out. So again, to the ask, and this one's interesting here too, because I go, do you ever work with contractors? Regardless, I'd love to get to know you better. The sweet spot here that really got me a client was, do you ever work with contractors? One sentence. So the reality, no, Jane never worked with contractors. Regardless, I'd love to get to know you better. She liked this. So we had coffee, and I was her first contractor ever that I was able to help their company. The other thing too as well with email newsletters, it's also a great way to just slowly have them on your radar. You're hearing about how the company's doing. You're getting all of the special tidbits. So if you're looking for clients, it's a great way to approach. This is not, like, I wouldn't use this one all the time. This is very much like a case by case, I genuinely read the information kind of situation. So hi, Kate, lovely to meet you. Just wanted to send a quick thank you for sharing your thesis about youth independence in Canada. I read through it this afternoon and it really resonated with me. I really did read it. I really did. Like, do not fake that you read someone's thesis. It will not end up well. I walk children to school daily through the city's walking school bus program. That's true. And have definitely noticed the confidence it's given a lot of the kids. Your mention of physical activity in building confidence particularly stood out, as it aligns with some patterns I've observed, like the kids doing things that I have observed. This helps me better understand these dynamics, and I actually really appreciate it. Do you have time for a 30-minute call in the next 2 weeks to discuss? So super niche, like somebody posted something, I really was interested, I really read it. If it was something I wasn't interested in and I didn't read it, I wouldn't send this. Like, this is definitely something where you really feel that alignment, you really want to build that relationship. But yeah, man, I know what you're thinking. That it's easy for me to say, like, oh, we can just online network and it's all fine. I know, but I wasn't always that confident with this. And I'm going to show you this really bad email that I sent. Already feeling cringe about it. Okay. So it was this woman named Sharon. Sharon? Yep, Sharon. And I said, coffee soon? And this was LinkedIn also, and she never replied. Dear Sharon, I trust this message finds you in good health and high spirits. I'm reaching out to proactively establish a strategic professional rapport, given your esteemed expertise in the hospitality industry. Like, ugh. Your thought leadership at your company has not gone unnoticed, and I believe there's significant potential for cross-collaborative value alignment. What does that even mean? What tangibly is that? We don't know. And it got worse. Like for cross-collaborative value alignment between our respective professional spheres, is that their companies? Is that my company? Who even knows? As a director at your company, I'm keen to explore avenues for potential knowledge exchange. Ew! And synergistic engagement. Again, what are we asking for? Like, is this mentoring? Is this a job? We don't know. I would greatly, and it continues, I would greatly appreciate the opportunity to schedule a mutually convenient time to discuss possible intersections of interest that could lead to scalable outcomes. Pretty bad. Not my best moment. There wasn't. No, there wasn't. Like, my hope is that Sharon never saw that. Like, Sharon had busier fish to fry, didn't see it. That's my hope. That's my hope. But that said, embarrassing. That was 10 years ago. I'm alive. Like, I survived. I'm doing pretty good. I'm okay. I'm here. So when we are networking and we have those moments of, oh crap, why did I say that? Why did I send this? We're all going to make it through. It's probably okay. But as long as we're sticking to kindness, curiosity, short and sweet, that's, I think, the big takeaway. I put in a lot of practice as well. But one last online networking tip, following up. So we often hear when we've had a meeting, follow up after the meeting, follow up. Also, following up is also an important tactic or method when it comes to someone that we haven't even met yet. So I actually just signed a new client this week actually on this. So we were in touch in September. I had reached in, I slid into the DMs, and she was like, that sounds great. Like, I'd love to do this. And then she just ghosted and like didn't come back for weeks. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, like I guess maybe not. And I kept checking, and I was like, hey, just, checking in. Is this something that you'd like to do? Or I can direct you to somebody else. And like just really trying to be short, sweet, polite. And now we're working together. So it took quite a few months to come together. But when we actually did our onboarding, she'd mentioned like, thank you for being persistent, following up. Like it just kept falling off of my plate. And so that's just something to keep in mind. Even if we've nurtured a relationship that's fully online, we can still have those follow-ups too. The other thing that I like to do too, because people are busy, is reference conversations. So if there was a topic that you already discussed, so an example of that would be a prospect told me about a cake shop over on Main. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay. Like they were telling me about the favorite cakes that they get from that place, what they love about it. I ended up getting one for my mom's birthday, and I wrote them a note back and I said, hey, I really like that place. I got this one. Have you tried it? And then we keep going from there. So referencing something they've already said is a great way to kind of keep the conversation going. And we actually ended up going to the cake shop at one point because we were both like, we want cake. So it was perfect. Another easy way to stay in touch is to congratulate people. So new jobs, they've moved, anything that you've seen kind of pop up online, being able to just say, hey, like, this is a win, let's celebrate it. So I really like to be there for I say my business besties, but being able to support the people that I care about and in my network and show them kudos where I can. Also, it's just asking how people are. So people who have started new companies, or people in my life recently who have had children and are, parenting while running companies. How is that working? Just being able to kind of stay in touch with how people are. So this is kind of a funny story. This talk was actually like a few years in the making. Holly and I have, of course, known each other since 2018. And so I think we were actually talking about doing a talk in like 2022. And then, for various reasons, like, schedules and stuff like that, it didn't end up working out. But Holly reminded me of this a couple of weeks ago. And this was a message I sent to her this year that basically followed up from that 2022 conversation and brought that back so that we're doing this today. And I read this and I was also kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I wrote this. But that's the other thing I will say. When you know someone like for years, it's also very different than when you like how I would have said it if we just met may have been different.
Paige feels like this is a cringy email. This is one of my favorite emails. And when you see what's in it, I'll later tell you me and my assistant's nickname for Paige for like a good 6 months after. So.
Oh my God. So I'm pretty sure this was influenced by cough medicine, but we'll see. Hey, Holly. I hope you're staying dry this week, whether that be away from the rain or the influx of coughing and sneezing that has returned to the streets.
Love it.
Can confirm, as my nephew coughed directly into my mouth this week, otherwise known as the toddler power move, and I've since acquired a cold. Anyways, WIMDI talks. I've heard some FAQ patterns with my mentees recently around how to pursue networking online in ways that feel sociable, friendly, and less cringe. Literally their words. As I've now seen this pop up in 4 different mentee conversations this week, I want to gauge if this would feel well suited for the WIMDI audience. If so, I'd love to revisit a WIMDI speaker session with you for 2025 and walk you through my rationale and my points. Virus-ridden but committed. That was the part where I was like, this is definitely influenced by medication, I think. Oh my gosh. But yeah, of course, Holly jumps in there immediately. Hey, Paige, that idea sounds great. Let's get it organized and get you on the WIMDI stage next year. Boom. Amazing.
And from that point forward,
Yeah.
It was the woman whose toddler coughed into her mouth.
Yeah.
Between me and Angela, every time we couldn't remember your name, it's like, oh, was that woman that got coughed on? We need to get her in the calendar soon.
I don't know why. It's like kids under 5, they're just like automatically like, let's cough in her mouth. I don't know why, but yeah, so that came up, and that led us to today. So very weird roundabout way to get there, but we did. So we're at the end, but just really trying to hammer home the takeaways here. We're trying to build relationships. We're not trying to use tactics to like trick someone into giving us a project or something. We're not trying to make it transactional. We're really trying to build long-term relationships that work across multiple different connections. We're also practicing until it's natural. So as we talked about, trial and error, just try on a few different things that feel authentic to you and feel good. And if you're not sure, involve a friend and see what they have to say about it as well. And then lastly, and this is a really big one, attract bees with honey. Like when you're sending something and you're not sure if there's kindness involved, there's a likelihood you're making someone's day. And if it's not the right fit or that person doesn't have time for you, that's another story, and that's for them to figure out. But if you're ever unsure or nervous about sending something, if you can guarantee that it's kind, you're gonna be okay. All right, so homework. We are encouraging you to reach out to one new person this week by email or by LinkedIn. You could do it today, you could do it tomorrow, you could do it through the weekend. But our goal here is just really, you could network with each other, and as you already have. But the goal is really just building those bases of getting more comfortable with online networking, reaching out, seeing that it's going okay and we're all surviving, and then feeling good about it so that we can keep going. Before we really end, I also just want to leave you with like a last thought. And it kind of connects a little bit to the butterfly effect, where like if you can just imagine for a moment like your different experiences right now, your lifestyles, your work, where you're going, what your goals are. Imagine you go home and you send a message tonight and that leads you to a job interview next week. Or you reach out to someone next week and they introduce you to your future business partner. Or imagine 5 years from now, you're looking back on this night and you're thinking, wow, I went home, I sent a message, and now I have this beautiful scenic corner office. Everything always leads to something else. And so the energy we're putting out is often connecting and just building outwards there. But I believe that we all can do it. And I know we all have different varying levels of comfort with this, but I really think that this can come together and we can all hit our goals in various ways through the networks and connections that we have. So that is that. If anybody wants to stay in touch, which I love reach outs, I love connecting with people, you can reach me at my email here at paige@strandandstrategy.ca. You can visit my website, but a better way to connect with me is probably by LinkedIn. And that is the name and that is the face on my LinkedIn profile, so you'll find me pretty quick.